here it is, the full sweep picking arpeggio breakdown. All you need, everything you need to play sweep picking arpeggios fluently, cleanly and reliably, and also in a nice way generally. So here's what I'm gonna take you through. There's a few different elements that have to come together here, and I'm gonna take you through all of them. And there is specificalities in the picking hand and in the fretting hand that have to come together and really works simultaneously at the same time. So there's gonna be a lot of stuff to get clear on first, but I will take you through all of them. So we're gonna get going here. This is the first position of the minor arpeggio shape that I will show you here first, and we're gonna talk about generally the fingering, which fingers to use here. I've outlined them up here, and then we're gonna talk about the picking and also about some more specificalities and a few mistakes that happen, that will probably happen to you down the road and also in the beginning. So let's talk about the fingering first. This here, we talk about the first half here of this arpeggio. The fingering here, this will be a hammer-on just with your fourth finger after you play the A note here. Then here, this is the first kind of trapdoor where people fall into. Let's talk about this little part here, those two in the 14th fret. So I'm gonna show you how to play those. Now, let's say you've played the 12th fret and the 15th fret here, and then you play the 14th fret. What's gonna happen is, what you have to do is with your left hand or with your fretting hand if you're lefty, then your finger does this, it hits the fret, and then what you have to do is you collapse this knuckle here like this, and then you play the next string. So here's what it looks like on guitar. I play the first two notes and then the 14th fret, and now I'm gonna collapse the knuckle, and what you need to really pay attention to is that this does not happen here, what I'm gonna show you now. You don't want two notes ring at the same time. This is the biggest mistake that I see happening even with experienced players, that they struggle to get this out of their playing, and you still have notes beating into each other even if you play fast. But you have to really pay attention that this doesn't sound so nice, and it just sounds sloppy and bad. So if you're collapsing a knuckle, try to not press down the previous note anymore, so that if I now play the 14th fret on the G string here, this is what it sounds like, and I'm not moving anything with my finger now, but I'm playing the previous note. Here, it's muted. That's what you want after you've played this. So the E on the 14th fret D string doesn't ring anymore. That's the first thing to pay attention to. Okay, let's walk through this further. Now here you play this with your second finger and this with your index finger. So you're landing here on the 12th fret. Now here is where we reverse this pattern. And with reverse, I mean really it's symmetrical from the picking pattern here. So that is why we're gonna talk about how to pick this part here first and then reversing it here. So this part here, this is a downstroke, and what you want to do when you're practicing this is, on slow tempos especially, to get a feeling of how the pick should travel over the guitar, is to not lose the momentum. You don't want to have like a series of downstrokes or something. You don't want this. You want to have it like a knife through hot butter, not a hot knife through cold butter. Now my posture is a little bit weird, that's why my wrist looks weird, but just pay attention to the movement, not on the angle. Don't angle your wrist like this. So this is basically the motion. But now you have run into the problem, whatever, that you have a hammer on here, so your pick would probably slow down here, but you can teach your arm to do this properly by landing on the next string first. So that's, you rest on the D string and then you push through. That's why it's called, I will call it rest stroke. This is a up or down stroke, and this will be a rest stroke because I'm resting here on this string without pushing through. If you're practicing this on slow tempo, that's what you should do with your picking hand, so that you don't just to give you the right feeling of when you speed this up, but you can take your time with speeding this up. I will speak more about this later, but in the beginning focus on playing this cleanly and smoothly and in good timing, and then gradually speed it up. And if you want to send me a feedback video, you can do this over my website. I will include a link below. Also, you get the tablature files for everything that I'm gonna play here, so that you can practice it on your own, because I played a arpeggio sequence in the beginning, and if you want to have that, just follow the instructions below this video. If you're watching this on YouTube, then click the link in the description, but I will send it right over to you and you can have fun just messing around with that. So now let's recap quickly. So we went through the fingering, that you have this little knuckle collapse motion here, and then also the picking will work like in a smooth way, like hot knife through butter. Now here's the next part. Here we have a pull-off, and basically everything happens almost really literally in reverse, because what you have to do here now is, well, you do the pull-off here, and then you put your middle finger on 13th fret, and here, this is why I say it's reverse, because check this out. Sorry, wrong note here. Now I land my finger preparing for the reverse collapse. So it's like you're lifting it up again, or so you have to anticipate that this comes, but after enough practice you will just get used to playing it like this. So imagine that you're putting your ring finger here over the two strings, the D and the G string, but you only want the G string to sound. This is, the D string should not sound yet, but only after you lift your knuckle up again, then this sounds again, and the G string should be muted. So that's a huge part of making it, cleaning it up. Now, yeah, and then you have this part here. So, and yeah, so we talked about the picking sequence and the generally picking approach, and also about the fingering. Now I'm gonna show you the next two shapes in minor, and then we go to the shapes in major, and let's look over them from a more zoomed out bird's eye perspective. So if you just look at the sequence here, you have a hammer on again in the first note, and only downstrokes up to here, and then again everything reverses. You have a pull off here and only upstrokes up to here, and you have the same pattern exactly here. So the picking pattern, that's really the whole beauty of it when you play arpeggios on 5 strings. By the way, 5-string arpeggios are not the only arpeggios you can play. You can play 4-string and 3-string arpeggios, but this is already a really cool thing to start with. So then when you have the same picking pattern, you don't need to teach your picking hand different kind of arpeggio motion like you would have with any other arpeggio system. So this is the real beauty of it. And I'm gonna quickly show you the major patterns here as well, because they all have the same picking pattern, and we will go through all of them a little bit in a faster pace than I did with the first shape, because we have already laid some ground rules there how to play those. So here is the first inversion, and this is where it could get challenging a little bit for if you think you have small hands or anything, then you would say, okay, this is a wide stretch because you have to play it with the first finger, and here this one with the third finger. So that was a bit lousy. I'm gonna repeat this. So when you're playing this, you have to play this with the third finger unless you're really good with collapsing your pinky finger. That would be one exception I could see, but I physically can't do. I can't collapse my pinky finger, and I think it's also too unreliable. Because after you've played the first note, it becomes much easier to finish off the arpeggio like this. So you're basically in the realm of 3-2 frets here, and everything's normal again. The only challenge is this part here, but this will develop over time. So if your fingers can't stretch like this for now, you have to be patient. This is really like a physical thing that has to develop. You can see the difference here in my left hand and my right hand. If I stretch them out both, you see my left hand can stretch much more further, because over time let's try to layer them on top of each other a bit better here. That's just what happens when you teach your fingers more to stretch and you give them better stretch, then they just get more flexible. So in the beginning, if this is hard for you, you can get away with making a little jump here. But that should only be for the purpose of memorizing this shape, so that you already have a way to play this. In the long run, you don't want to stick to this way of practicing and playing the arpeggios like a jump. You should try to get to a point where you can make this stretch here. This will also help you in other areas of your guitar playing. Your fingers get more flexible with playing chords and stuff, so be patient with this, but still do it. Now, let's go through this shape here, note by note. We have the third fret here. This is a C note, so we have still the A minor arpeggio. You might recognize this from an A minor bar chord, and this is pretty close to that one if you're playing the root note on the E string. And you play the third fret here with your first finger. Then you make the hammer on with your, did I say third finger? No, you play the third fret with your first finger. And then in the 7th fret here, 4 frets further, with your 3rd fret, you do the knuckle collapse here. And now here you have 3 times the 5th fret in a row, and you apply the same principle. You just use it with your index finger. I'm going to show you how. It goes over 3 frets now, so that it works just the same, but it might seem a bit more challenging, but it's really not. It's just the same principle. So you have your finger here, and you just roll it over. And if you go backwards, you roll it the other way around. So this part here may seem challenging, but if you just think about your finger as rolling over the strings like a banana, then you can fix this easily. And now here you see this is a pull off with your pinky finger again, and you roll your finger backwards like a banana, and then here you do again with the ring finger your backwards roll, so that here you come out. This is maybe an important thing to mention. When you play a descending arpeggio, so from a high note to low notes. So let me do that again here. When you come out here, and also here, like every time you roll backwards, you do the finger roll backwards, you want to come out on the last note as if you're fretting it normally. That's a good guideline for you to know if you're doing the fretting properly. If you're ending up like this on the last note and your finger is still kind of flat, that's not good, that's not right, that doesn't help you really play this in the long run nicely. So that's something to pay attention to. Now let's go to the last shape in minor, and you may recognize this part from if you know the D minor chord. This looks pretty similar if you put it on the fretboard. So that's just a little way to memorize this shape, but the memorization is really only difficult in the beginning, and once you have gotten a little bit fluent with this, how you play this, you will get past this point fairly quickly. So let's talk about this. This is, again, if you're playing this especially in a lower position, this will be a pretty far stretch. So if you're playing this in the 7th position, yeah, with your, now you can use the pinky finger, but it will be still a very far stretch. And now I have to also talk about the posture with you, because that's probably the most important thing to pay attention to before you even get started. Should maybe mention it earlier, but now we're here. So the posture, first of all, don't sit like a lazy slob like this on guitar on your right hand and you're trying to play like weird cowboy chords and stuff to impress your girlfriend. But you have to really have a really good posture. Guitar on your left leg, this is vital. Guitar on your left leg, it's vital, worth repeating for this, because now you have relaxed shoulders. They are in a sort of T formation, although maybe with a little roof they're on a T, but they should just be relaxed and hang normally. Like, you don't want to drag anything up like this or cramp up when you do this. This is one of the biggest roadblocks as well down the road. This will creep in. I promise you, this will creep in after you have played this a few times. You will find yourself doing this. Okay, so I'm going to mention this now. Come back to this 2 months from now and watch the video and check yourself, and I promise you will do this. So this is my reminder to future you 2 months from now that, hey, relax your picking hand shoulder again and just like move your arm from the elbow. Now back to the real posture, especially in the left hand, is what you have to pay attention to is that I call this the cheeseburger grip. So if you have a cheeseburger here and you want to bite into that, this is just, or if you have a sandwich, whatever, then this is what you have to do there, and hold the hand like this, and your arm's just hanging, and then my hand right now is in the cheeseburger position because it's all relaxed, and you lead it to the guitar and you're done, essentially. This is all the posture you need. And now just pay attention that your thumb is opposite from the middle finger, or if you have a further stretch, it could also be opposite from the ring finger, like you have in this shape now. If I turn around now, my thumb is opposite of the ring finger actually, where it would land on the 10th fret. I'm not playing anything on the 10th fret, but that's where my ring finger just falls to be now. So that will make your stretches far easier, because if you hold your hand like this, like this, you see that you have the span here between the index finger and the pinky finger. You have this. It's in your body. But if you have a weird posture and you're having your arm like this or anything, it will be hard to make this stretch. But if you just have the normal relaxed position, then you can totally do a stretch of a fourth, or what is it here? E to A, that's a fourth, so 7 frets. Also in lower areas. This is possible. Now, let's go through this shape here bit by bit. This is the second inversion, means the 5th is the lowest note. Here we have the hammer on again. 1st finger, 4th finger. Now here, this part, you don't have a finger rolling in the second inversion, just like you don't have the rolling version in the second inversion of the major shape, but you have something else here. Most people tend to play this with the third finger, with the ring finger, but this will prevent you from playing the next few notes. They think, most people think that when they play this with the third finger, the ring finger, then this with the second finger, this note again with the third finger, they have this finger already free for the note here, but it will not make it easier for you. What you should be doing is second finger, first finger, second finger again, first finger. Okay, so it's like a little walk over the strings from your fingers. And because you have enough time, even on super fast tempos, to just move one finger here, the next finger here, next finger there, one finger here. Because while the one finger is down here and plays this note, you can totally move your finger here and bring it in position for the next note, and you don't need to save the time there, because this is again like a much stronger finger combination, and you can move this finger simply faster than any other combination that you can come up with there. So just use the second, first finger here, and you will be set up properly for this. Now here you have a jump, or not a jump, but a stretch from the 8th to the 12th fret, so it's a little bit smaller than from the 7th to the 12th fret. And here you do the pull off again, and you do everything exactly backwards. Everything just backwards in rewind, reverse, as you did here. Just this has to be a pull off, of course. Then second finger, second finger, fourth finger, first finger. Good. Now let's talk about the 5-string arpeggio shapes in major, and then we're already almost ready to get into the sequence. Wow, this looks difficult, right? I showed you that it's super easy in a moment. But after we've done this, we're gonna be set to play this arpeggio shape, this arpeggio sequence there. So here's our root position, and this is, I put it in the 3rd fret because then we're gonna play everything in C major. And here's how to play this. We have first finger and fourth finger hammer on here. Now here you have the banana roll again, just you do it with the second finger, with your middle finger. And your first finger goes to the 3rd fret, fourth finger, pull off, everything in reverse with the banana roll, 7th fret here, 3rd finger. So here's what it sounds like. I give you the sound of it. Let's do that again. That was sloppy as fuck. Better. So there you have the first shape, the root position. Now we go to the first inversion, and this will look familiar from the major chord, bar chord, where you play the root note on the E string, just to help you trace it back to something familiar. But don't play this as a bar chord ever. Don't do this. Just have one note ring out at a time. I'm gonna emphasize this point here again. So let's go through this picking pattern here. So first finger, and then just like with the minor shape, you have the 3rd finger here again to have the finger roll here. 9th fret with the 2nd finger, finger roll with the 1st finger, and then everything in reverse. Pull off, finger erecting. He said erecting. So that's the reverse finger roll there, and then you end here with the 7th fret on the 3rd of the. So this is the first inversion, and it starts on the 3rd of the chord. If you haven't figured out yet, these are all based on major and minor chord notes, and I hope this became clear when I said like A minor arpeggio. So these are all really just chord arpeggios, like triads. All we play here is the notes C, E, and G, and on this whole page. And here, now let's go to the second inversion really quick, and then I will take you to the big one. So second inversion looks very, very similar to the first, to the minor second inversion. Actually, they all look kind of similar, you will see, but I think here it's the most predominant. And also, again, now here you have the third finger, and here you have 1-2-1, as opposed to the minor arpeggio shape here, the second inversion, you have second finger, so first finger, second finger, first finger. Here you have now third finger, because there's just one fret difference. So the way you play it, I'm gonna show it to you in a big screen here. So that is the difference there, that you use the third finger and not the second finger. But then this still stays the same. You just play 1-2-1, because your fingers have enough time to travel while this note is played from this part to that part. And then again you do the reverse, you do the pull off, and you wander over the fretboard here with the other shapes. And now this, the second inversion for major and minor will probably down the road be, it's easiest to play them cleanly because there's no finger roll, but it's most difficult or most challenging to speed those up, because you have to pay attention to a different thing. You have more finger motions. Each finger does more work on its own here, and you don't have the advantage of the finger roll where you're already in the right position and you just have to collapse the knuckles. So that's a pretty fast movement, but a finger switch always takes a little bit more time to go from here to here than just. Oh yeah, good. I'm speaking about it, because this is, I have to make you aware of that you don't do this. Pointing this out right now. So in the second inversion of the major shape, you play up to the 12th fret here. You play the 13th fret, the C note in the 13th fret. And now don't bar this. Don't think you can shortcut this by just barring this. It doesn't work so easily. It's not gonna help you. What happens will, you press this finger down too much, you will accumulate too much tension here, and it's very hard to get rid of that then. And to lift your finger up, you want to be swift and kind of nimble with your fingers, so that all you have to do here is jump from here. You see that this is fast enough to do that, so don't worry about the jump here. We train this away and you will be golden. And if you have questions about that, you can always send me a video and I'll give you video feedback on your playing, so that we can correct mistakes and you will learn how to do sweep picking arpeggios. Good. So next chapter we will go to this big sequence here. And again, reminder, if you want to have all those tablature files, follow the link under this video, or if you're already watching this on my website, then just scroll down a little bit and follow the instructions. I will send you all those files here. I will send you this and that and that. I will send it all over to you. Probably I will combine this in just one file, so that it's a little bit easier to send, but you will all get this if you want it. So let's walk through this. This is an A minor arpeggio. This is C major arpeggio in the second inversion. This is F major in the first inversion. This is G major in the root position. This is E minor in the first inversion, and here we have a D minor in second inversion. And if you notice, this is all centered around the 12th fret. So it's falling out really nicely if you learn how to combine those shapes to each other. You're gonna have a lot of fun just creating endless sweep picking arpeggios exercises etudes for yourself, because there's always a very close position to roughly every chord that you have. So if our chord progression would be now A minor, C, F, G, E minor, D, and you want to arpeggiate over that, you can just play. And this was all just in the same position, no jumping around and being totally complicated with this, but this is now only one way of playing those. If you start this, for example, in another position, let's say in the third position, then you can figure out another way of playing this for yourself. So I'm gonna do this on the fly now, so don't hate when I mess this up, but let's try. So I have A minor, C major, F major, G major, E minor, D minor. So here's the A minor. Now comes the C major, F major, and now I have two options for the G major. I could go up here and move everything up basically, but I want to stick to the same kind of principle where I go lower from the F major to the G major. So you see here, I could also move this shape here simply up 2 frets and I would be in G major, but I'm gonna do the opposite way. I'm gonna go down to G major here, and now E minor, and D minor in root position, and back to A minor if you want to repeat this. So that was just one example, and I'm not going to give that to you on purpose because you're supposed to work this out for yourself. And you can. If you study those shapes for a while, then you will find them all over the fretboard. So, and if you need help with that, just hit me up. I give you some hints here and there. So this is the first page, and well, the only page on this document, but this is the first way of stringing those together, and it's beautiful, I must say. So really a lot of fun, and once you figure this out, you can play arpeggios over and over. So let's recap. Pay attention in the first few weeks especially to only play this fluently and slow tempo and clean and nicely. Okay, so you have so much to think about at the same time, and my advice is to also isolate a lot of things and break them down and then put them together again. If you struggle with the picking motion, isolate that for a while, and you only need to learn this picking motion once, and you can apply it to all the other arpeggio shapes and just combine it with another fingering. And learn to do the finger roll properly. Learn to do the finger roll properly, and without this, you want to have this, like have them ring out separately, and that's the general strategy or philosophy about those sweep picking arpeggios as well. You want to have only one note ring at a time. Keep that in mind. Anything else I have to mention here? So I mentioned, oh yeah, if you want to practice the stroke motion here, if you do this on a slow tempo, remember the rest stroke, where you land on this string here and then push through once you want to play this note and once your finger is in place. So here's how that looks like for the A minor version. Pull, hammer on. And now my pick is already pushing against the D string, but I'm now fretting the note, and then I'm gonna push through. And I'm already resting against the G string. I collapse the knuckle, I push through, and then I put my middle finger into place. I don't know if you can see it, but my pick is already pushing against the B string, and now I'm pushing through when the finger is in place. It's pushing against the E string, my index finger is in place, and I push through. So I'm going to mention one more thing about the picking hand. I was very serious about when I said that you just want to reverse everything, because what I see people do and what I did myself for a long time, and maybe sometimes it's creeping back in, is that my picking hand looks like this. I do the bread and butter movement, but that's not where you want to go. And you see this with professional players who do sweep picking too, and they made it work for them, you know, in some way. But it's I think if they would start over again, they and had a teacher who told, and they didn't have to figure this out on your own, but learn a way to that's compatible with everything. They should have it look like this. So just in a straight line here down, actually, not like this way, but just straight down. This is how your motion should look like. So, and now I angled my wrist a little bit. Don't do that yourself. I just had my guitar in an awkward way, so that's why I had to angle it a little bit. But here, this is what it looks like now. So that's what your picking hand should look like, and you have to push also through the strings with force and tell the string where to go, and not have your pick give in to the strings. You make the string your beep and not the other way around. So you're in control of the string, not the string in control of you. Okay, so good. That's everything I want to show you. And I hope this puts you on a great track with learning these wonderful sweep picking arpeggios here. They're really fun. So enjoy, and if you need help, just get in touch with me. I'll help you out. Send me a feedback video, and then we can figure out where's your current roadblock. So see you later.